own situations. First of all, we have Matilda Akayese. She's Ghanaian, and she's an alumni of the University of Oxford. She went for the prestigious BCL program. It's a bachelor's in law, Oxford University. Now, let me tell you, this program is not the easiest to get into, but she got in. And she didn't just get in, she also won the MasterCard AFOX Fellowship as well. That sponsored our program completely. So she didn't pay a dime, not a flight ticket, not a visa fee, not a healthcare insurance, nothing. She didn't pay for anything. She went completely free, and now she has graduated from the program. We also have the amazing, talented Oriofe Salako. She's also an alumni of the University of Syracuse in the United States of America. So for those of you that have been texting me, oh, can I get a fully funded scholarship in the United States? We have an evidence here. We have someone that we can show that has done it before. And she also went for an MSc in intellectual property. So although they are both lawyers, but in the course of this program, you will see that we have done this kind of thing for people who are interested in public health, for those that are interested in, mechanical engineering, creative writing, whatever the case is. We've supported so many people from different worlds of fields and experiences to achieve a fully funded scholarship that they desire. So I'm really, really excited to have you guys here. Right now, we have about 196 people in this webinar. So before we move any further, I would encourage you to send an invitation to anyone, your friends, your family members, whoever it is, to join us as soon as possible. Now, moving on, let's break the ice. I want to get to know you guys. I don't know where you're joining us from, but let me know in the chat box below. Let me know where you're joining us from. Introduce yourself and let me know where you're joining from. Are you joining from Ogun State, from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Rwanda, from Senegal, from where? Just let us know where you're joining us from in the chat box below. I can't see messages. Please, let's type in the chat box so we know where you're joining us from. I can see Sydney from Yenogwa, Abraham from Nigeria, Maxwell from Ghana, joining from Zimbabwe, Zambia, Malawi, Nigeria. Oh my God, Ghana. We have so many people from different parts of the world here today. From Ghana, from Nigeria, Wale from Nigeria, Abasi from Ghana, so many people here. I'm super excited about the diversity we have in the house today. Meg from Kenya, Ogochukwu from Ghana, we have Daniel from Nigeria, Paul from Ghana, so many places. I'm super excited to have you guys here today. Now, another question I want to ask is, what grade did you finish with? I want to know the grade you finished with. What grade did you finish with? Tell me in the chat box below. Did you finish with a 2.2? Did you finish with 2.1? Let me know, what grade did you finish with? Second class lower, that's okay. Second class upper, second class upper, I can see first class. And kudos, many first classes, that's good. We are very brilliant people here today. Okay, second class upper. Wow, okay. 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 Now let me know, what is your dream school? What school do you
I think we might have just...
Is it Harvard University? Is it?
You're back. Jimmy, we can't see you anymore.
You can see.
Yes.
What about now?
Can you all see Jimmy's video? Okay, you're back. Carry on.
My apologies. Okay, so I was asking a question. I said, what is your dream university? Let me know. For me, in my dreams, I've attended Harvard University already. I've got like 2 degrees from there. So let me know what your dream university is, or Oxford University, either, or Cambridge as well. But tell me in the chat box, let me know your dream universities. Harvard University, Duke Law, Cornell Law, Fordham, Harvard. Okay. I hope you know those of you that are mentioning Harvard, Oxford, Duke, UCLA, MIT. You have to be willing to do the work. It requires a lot of work. I can see someone who said Syracuse University. You better hold Oriofe before she leaves here today. Okay. Stanford, very good. Okay, so now that I know, you know, where you guys' minds are and you know what you're looking out for. Now I'm going to go very quickly and I'll introduce Get In before I go into what you're going to learn today. So Get In is a social impact educational body that is passionate. And when I say passionate, I don't use that word lightly. Extremely passionate about advancing Africans, starting with Nigerians, and trying to get them to that educational point or the advancements that they need to unlock opportunities globally. So one of our key points, or one of the key things we believe in, is that education is key. Knowledge is key. So we start from educating you and giving you the fundamental knowledge that you can build upon, you can build those blocks upon. And I promise you this, everything you're going to learn here today can be applied across board. It can be applied to your academics, it can be applied to your job, it can be applied to any area of your life. Okay, now, the interesting part is we have helped thousands of people globally, people from India, people from Nepal, South Africa, Ghana. We've helped people from Kenya, Malawi, Liberia. The list goes on, and we've helped a lot of Nigerians access over $7 million in scholarships and counting. Because before the end of this year, I can assure you that the funds we have helped people secure will have passed $8 million by then. So I invite you all once again to reach out to anyone that you think should be here. They need to join us. Now, let me tell you some of the things you're going to be learning. Number one, you're going to learn how to build a profile building. What should your ideal application profile look like? What should that look like? I've seen this happen a lot. A lot of times people reach out to me and they're like, I want to do this thing, but I just don't know. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to put this thing together. You're going to learn the elementary of that stage. The second thing you're going to be learning is application strategy. What strategies did our bootcamp alumni try to secure their scholarships and admissions? Now, you're going to be listening to 2 of our bootcamp alumni. You're going to learn from them, especially for those of you that said you want to go to University of Oxford. Open your ears, grab a book and your pen. Take note of everything Matilda says. Yeah, I have my book and pen. I don't know if you guys attended the last webinar. I always have my book and pen because I learn every day. And those of you, I saw a few people mention University of Syracuse. Grab your book and pen. Write down, what are those things she did? What are those things I have gaps in? Where should I start? Take note of them. The third thing you're going to be learning is, how ready are you? You see, I know a lot of you want to go to graduate school, but not everyone is ready. So we're going to learn, you are going to be able to assess yourself. How ready am I for this journey? What do I need to do? What do I need to add to this journey? What are the little things I need to change or improve on or work harder on? Or maybe I need to apply next year. Maybe not this year, I need to give myself 2 years. Those are questions you'll be able to answer by the end of this webinar. But out of all these things you're going to learn from us, I ask just one thing of you. Open up your mind. Please, open up your mind. I don't want you to go through this program with a rigid mindset. You're not going to learn. And the key points, the whole essence of this is to learn. So open up your mind, be receptive to everything that you're going to be taught here today. It pays you and it's for your own benefit, okay? Now, finally, I'm going to be inviting, you know, when they say, My Yoruba is not good. Don't mind that my name is Dosumo. I was about to drop one adage, but it didn't work out. But when they say that the elephant comes at the back of the, whatever, however they say it. But right now, I'm going to invite the brain behind getting. You see, Miriam holds a special place in my heart, and she knows it. So I'm going to be inviting her to speak to us. Now, let me go through some of the accolades she has. And this paper, if I were to write everything, we're going to use like 10 slides. But so I just try to, make it brief. First of all, she's a chief instructor at Getting. She is an alumni of the University of Ibadan. Let me tell you something. She finished with a first class from Ibadan. And that's not all. She also finished with first class from law school. Okay? A lot of brain. And then she also has an LLM from the University of Cambridge in the United Kingdom. And also, she recently finished a PhD from the University of Toronto. So please, henceforth, she'll be addressed as Dr. Miriam Momodu. Okay, now some of the awards she has gotten over the years is the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, the prestigious Viner Scholarship for her PhD program, the PEO Scholarship. Look, if you want to know more, just screen grab this page and keep it for yourself so that if you need motivation, you can go back to it and be looking at it and be saying, if one person can do all these things, why can't I? So now let me keep quiet and allow you guys hear her. But like I said, if you don't have your piece of paper here and your pen, bring it out. You need to take note of everything she's going to pour out. Sometimes she says some things that are not on the slide. Take note of them. So let's unmute and give Miriam a round of applause. Dr. Miriam Momodu, a round of applause as she comes on board to speak to us today. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
So much for the introduction. I am so excited to be here. And the first thing I'm going to say is this is a Saturday, right? You can be doing anything else. You could be at a party, you could be at your friends' houses, you could be doing anything, but you're on this webinar for a purpose. And for that, I already commend you. And I want you to understand and recognize that this webinar is going to literally be life-changing. I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction to of myself and of Getting to explain to you why we're putting this up. Has anybody heard of Getting before? If you've heard about us, just let us know in the comments. If you haven't, just let us know in the comments as well. If maybe you saw our ad or something like that, let us know. So Getting, as Jimmy explained, is a social impact education consulting organization. And all we care about is how to help people get from point X to point Y. If you're looking for advancement in your career, in your life, in with basically the status you are, and you want to use education as a platform where your people. So what have we done over the past few years? Over the past few years, we've taken regular people like me, like you. We've run them through our boot camp, and they've gone on to get degrees from the top universities in the world. Me, for example, I've gotten over $250,000 in scholarships, and all my graduate education has been paid for. So I started Getting from a place of what I call passion. I said, if I can do this, if education can change my life, then it means it can change yours. I always tell people, I said, I can't sing, I can't dance, I cannot do anything like that, but education, using it as a platform to achieve all your dreams, that is what we do, right? And today we're going to get the benefit of not only hearing from me, but hearing from people who've gone through our process and our boot camp, so that you can see how they actually got from point X to point Y, and they're in the process of building a career of their dreams. Jimmy mentioned something that I want to emphasize to you. I want you to keep an open mind. Has it happened to you that sometimes you hear that, oh, somebody did something, somebody got this job offer, somebody got this scholarship, and you're like, is this real? Those are the kinds of testimonies that we have at Getting on a daily basis. So I want you to open your mind so that you're not limiting yourself in terms of what you can achieve. Okay, so today we're talking about how to get into a top program irrespective of the grades that you have. Over the past few years, one of the things that I've discovered while working with countless and thousands of people, is that they always feel that they have certain limitations because of maybe their grades or their experience. If you feel that way, can you let me know? I want this to be a very safe space for you. Let me know in the comments, do you think you are Harvard material? Do you think you are Oxford material? Do you think you can get a scholarship, or do you think it is impossible for you? Let me know where your mind is, because that will help me determine the gems to drop for you before we move on to our panelists. A lot of us have been sold a lie that certain opportunities are not for you. We have been told a lie that there is no space for you in certain kinds of jobs. There's been no space for you. There's no space for you in certain kinds of schools. These kinds of opportunities are not for people like you. You're not good enough. You're not adequate. You don't have what it takes. This place wasn't built for you. And a lot of us have grown up internalizing those lies that have been told to us by either society, sometimes even by our parents. Okay? So the first thing is, I want you to accept, before I even start going into the process, that if there's an opportunity that you want, even if it is Harvard, whatever it is, although I have my thoughts on going to particular schools and being fixated on those, but that's not the point of this webinar. If finance is your constraint, the whole purpose of this is that there are ways for you to get opportunities that don't require you to pay. I, for example, didn't pay for any of my degrees from my master's, and I couldn't have afforded it, right? There's no way my mother, who was a single mom, would have been able to pay for me to go all the way to do things I've done. So I want you to know that. So the next slide, thank you very much for moving us forward. So the next slide I have for you, I have a question. When I teach, I like to be very practical. My question is this, and again, I want you to be involved. If you know anyone who is looking to get a scholarship, whether it's a master's or a PhD, please, can we put the link to this room in the chat, or the link to register actually in the chat, so that you can send it to your friends to join us, because you don't want to give yourself the stress of having to explain what you learned today. Now, I have a question on this slide. Do you think Davido, does anybody know Davido? Davido is a very popular Nigerian musician. So in case you're not from Nigeria, Davido is a very popular Nigerian musician. You're not from Africa. Do you think Davido can be given and can receive admission to Harvard for an MBA? Who believes he can? Do you think Davido can receive a scholarship even to Harvard for an MBA, even though we know he did? So somebody said for music. No, this is for a master's in business. Okay, because he's rich and famous. Kelvin said, no way. I said, yes, of course. Okay, fine. If you think video can be, please, if you don't mind, can you mute yourself so that we are getting the best of this webinar? And I'm very conscious of time because a lot of our time is going to be spent on the panelists. If you think he can you tell me why you think Davido, who probably, we don't know what grade he had from school. Maybe he had a pass because he was touring around. I don't know. But if Davido didn't have a first class, because if he did, we would know. So if you think he can get in, why? So somebody said, I love the answers I'm seeing. It says, yes, I'm getting, nothing is impossible. He can because of his current profile. Good. Because he's rich and famous and influential. Well, that is true, but that is not what we're trying to get at today. He has 30, he has money, 30 billion. Money does not guarantee you admission, by the way. Fabumi said he's famous. Romeo said he can, depending on information. Good. Emmanuel says yes, he absolutely can. Everybody likes a star. I love that. Success says in music he can, but in MBA, I don't think so. Success, I disagree. Grace said because if he sets his mind to it, he can achieve it. It's more than that. Eniola said he has proven himself as an effective musician. Good. Dr. SK says because Harvard believes he can contribute to society. Adaizi said it's a win-win for both parties. He can get him because he can't get him because he doesn't have the necessary requirements. Indigwe, I'm here to tell you that no matter Davido's academic qualifications, if he applies for an MBA, he will get in. under exceptional circumstances. And I'm going to continue to explain why. Confidence is key. Yes, he can. He has the profile. He has the profile. He can because he's a leader. This question is obviously a hyperbolic question because none of us is Davido, right? None of us is a popular musician. But if you are, you can let us know. None of us has that kind of profile, but I'm giving you this example so that it can stick with you. And when you leave here, you can begin to think about the things you need to do. Somebody said something, which is that everybody likes a star. And I think for most of us, because we don't see ourselves as stars, we haven't been given opportunities to develop certain profiles, right? We believe that we cannot achieve certain things. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you have the profile and grades, the grades you have is just a small part of a profile. If you have the profile, if you learn how to build a profile, and if you learn how to sell that profile, there is no opportunity you want that you cannot get. And as I said, I'm already beginning to see some naysayers in the comments. So I said, I need you to open your mind. If your mind cannot achieve it, it cannot happen for you. And that's why I'm spending time here. So my comment to all of us is this. The school or the opportunity you're looking for is looking for a profile. Your job is to look at where you are, and I'm going to give you a lot of tips, and where you need to be. Forget about your grades, and that's my point. No matter the grades you finished with, or if you're in school and you have an opportunity to get good grades, please do your best. Please go for it. But if it's already too late for you, you've graduated, you had a 2-2, you had a first class, you had a 2-1, you had whatever. If you've graduated and you have a grade that you cannot change, the message of this webinar is that there is a way to build your profile to get certain opportunities. Are we on the same page? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. I always tell myself, I said, all the opportunities that have been coming to me recently, I haven't applied for them. They have come to me because of some of the work I've done in the past and the profile that I have built. And I'm going to show you that I'm just like you. Can we go to the next slide? So some of you are saying, I'm not Davido. Oh, Miriam, I'm not you. I don't have a PhD. I don't have this. Well, here is my profile. I was just a student. I studied at the University of Ibadan, like anybody else in my class, okay? But as a student, I was very conscious of profile building. So I had it in mind that I needed a profile even beyond the grades. And I'm going to tell you this, if you had a first class, I want to, in fact, almost warn you that that is not enough. It is not enough. And at the same time, I want to use that to tell the people who did not have first class that you are not at too much of a disadvantage if you do the right thing. I had a first class, but I got rejected from Harvard because I didn't understand this key point about going somewhere with value. A lot of us, when we submit your graduate school applications, you are going without value. You are not going in a way that shows how you can be, how the school can benefit from you, how it's a mutually beneficial opportunity for the school to want you, how to package yourself so that it is the school that is actually rushing you, as we say in Nigeria. Okay? So I had to do that profile building, and I'm going to show you some of the steps that I took and some of the practical steps you can begin to take to do that. Is there work involved? Yes. But you are the one who is looking for money. The way I see it, the work that I've done on my profile over the past couple of years, looking at the opportunities it has given me, it is worth the work. So my question to you in the comments before I move further is, are you ready to do the work? Type in the comments and let me know. Say, I am ready. Because there is a bit of work involved. I am ready. Fantastic. So if you're ready, let's move. Next slide. So this is me, and I always show my pictures when I started because you guys will see me like this. You see the accolades. You think I dropped from the sky like this. A lot of the things I'm teaching you, I can assure you, people are going to charge you thousands of dollars for this kinds of information and this program. But I do it like from a place of passion. So this was me at the library at University of Ibadan a couple years ago. I think I still look the same. I don't think I've aged very much. But this was a couple years ago. Just like you, in a public school in Nigeria, no special connections, nothing. Let's move to the next slide. But over the years, by using the skills that I've developed, I've been able to get to certain places. Now, when I was at university, and I give you my stories, and I'm going to teach you the strategies. I'm looking at the time, I have like 15 more minutes. When I was at university, or 10, when I was at university, I took certain things very seriously. So if you're in university, this is for you. One of those things is leadership opportunities. When schools are looking for the people to bless with scholarships, they're looking to see how you have had an impact in your environment. So if you're one of those people, if you're currently in school, that you are just a floater by, you are not positioning yourself for certain leadership opportunities, you are not serving, you're not volunteering, that's not the way to go. You need to change that. But you need to also do it strategically. Now, what is your field of study? What area of study are you interested in? Put it in the comments. What area of study are you looking? Is it an MBA? Is it whatever it is? Put it in the comments. I want to give you some practical tips. Put it in the comments. If you're currently in university, or even if you are out of university, you need to look for key volunteering opportunities. You need to become affiliated with certain institutions that when people see that in your application, they have no objection but to want you. Now, no matter one of the resources that we have available for you, if you fill a form and give us feedback, we're going to send you a compilation of places where you can find certain opportunities, you can find fellowships, you can find remote internships, and so on and so forth. So if you are looking for, Miriam, international development opportunities, the first place you need to check is the United Nations website. Are there programs that you can insert yourself into? One of the things that I've started doing and I've been doing for a while is cold emailing for opportunities. I don't wait for opportunities to come to me. I don't wait for them to be openly advertised. I go to them and I offer myself as being of value. So look at your field, international development. What are the key agencies, right, that do international development? You can think of the UN, you can think of the World Bank. Look at your country. What are the programs that they have running? Who are the people in charge of those programs? You need to connect with them. Write to them and let them know that you are interested in supporting their program. Don't ask for money to start with. And don't just write, and in the bootcamp, we teach you how to send these kinds of emails. Don't write to them and say, hi, I'm looking for an opportunity for this. No, what you need to do is to write that email and itemize, right, how you're going to add value to that program. I got a consulting opportunity with the World Bank by reaching out to people even before having this PhD and articulating to them why, as a woman who is from Africa, who understands the law, I am best positioned to contribute to the World Bank Women Business and Law reports. They created a role for me because I knew what I already had and I had built up that profile. So think about international development. How can I get involved at a local level? Are there remote opportunities? Are there remote conferences? Are there webinars and things I can attend and add to my resume? Are there people I can connect with? Are there working groups? Are there workshops in this area? Microbiology or remote sensing. I don't even know what remote sensing is. Have you looked for the International Organization of Remote Sensing, if it exists? Have you seen whether they have student opportunities? Have you joined? I'm not really looking at the comments so that I don't get distracted. So the first thing is, once you identify your area of interest, look for the organizations at the top of that area of interest. So for me, is that the World Trade Organization? Is that the World Bank? You look at those organizations, and then your job is to begin to look for places in that organization that you can add value. Does that make sense? You're not looking for a job. You're not looking for a job. You are not looking for money. You are just looking to be affiliated with them. That is the first step. Okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is publications. A lot of us don't understand the value of the internet and thought leadership, and you might feel like you are not worthy. One of the ways I've had opportunities is by positioning myself strategically on LinkedIn, and I've stopped doing that for a while because I've been very busy. There are a lot of opportunities that have come my way, invitations to things, because you are actively publishing your area of interest. You don't have to publish in a journal. You don't have to publish in a journal for that to happen. Again, this all involves work, but it is up to you. So, public health. Have you written an article on the after effects of COVID-19 for African countries? Have you posted that article on LinkedIn? Have you, when introducing yourself to people, sent them a link to your work to say, hi, so and so? Let me give you guys an example. I have 10 more minutes. I'm looking at the time. Let me give you guys an example. I attended a webinar for something related to international economic law. Again, I'm giving you guys all my secrets. Everything we teach in the boot camp, these are the things I apply to my life, and these are the things that have gotten me to where I'm going. I attended a webinar. Attend remote webinars. When you are at those webinars, your job is not just to listen to the content. As you are in those webinars, your job is to Google the people who are speaking. Your job is to look at the attendee list and Google who they are and see how the networks that they're connected with. And what I did after that conference was I emailed someone who had spoken on that panel. And I said, and I'm giving you guys these tips for free. People won't tell you this. I sent him an email. I explained who I am, what I have to offer, right? My previous experiences. I sent him a link of some of these publications I had published. And then I told him exactly how I can help his organization. Within a few weeks, we're still in touch. He emailed me with an opportunity for a fellowship at his university in King's College. Listen, you don't need to know anyone to knock on doors if you do the work. So you have leadership opportunities, you have volunteered, so you have an idea of what is happening in your industry. And then you have a forward-looking perspective on how you can contribute and add value. That's the magic. Never, ever, ever. I'm sorry, I'm so passionate and I'm so almost angry because I see a lot of us doing it the wrong way. Never, ever, ever, ever reach out or look for an opportunity without having something in your hand to exchange. A lot of you think, I don't have anything. That's not true. Your lived experience is something. And yes, maybe some of us have to do some research. We need to brush up. For me, nobody can ever tell me that they know more about me. They know more about doing business in Africa as a woman from a legal perspective than me, no matter who you are in the world. Because those are the places where my lived experience matches my actual work experience. So think about it. And if you are in an industry completely different from what you want to do, again, you start from the foundation. You start from the foundation. Where can I learn? And access resources where you can learn, right, about whatever field of study you are in. I need to watch the time. So another thing I did was I identified key people who would be references for me. And I'm going to talk about this twice. When I was in undergrad, I identified certain people who had good profiles, and I made sure I had good relationships with them so that they could speak well about me. If you don't have people who can speak well about you and put their reputation on the line for you, you need to start building those relationships because it takes time. I'm not going to talk about CV so much, and I'm not going to talk about work experience because some of you may not be able to, maneuver into the job experience that you want. But I do think if you can leverage on looking for fellowships, building off of conferences, certain volunteering, those job experiences will begin to come to you. Is my volume low? Some people say they can't hear me. Let's move to the next slide so that I don't take up too much time. So what happened? Cambridge, and I went on a fully funded scholarship. Why? Because by the time I put my application together, I had some publication, I had great references, I had leadership, I had volunteering. So I was able to get in, and not only get in, but I was able to win a scholarship. And in the boot camp, we teach you how to, session is based on, is focused on profile building, not actually on your application, because we have certain strategies that teach you how. Recently, and I think I mentioned this at the last webinar, I got an opportunity where out of over 6,000 applicants, my application was one of the 10 that was selected. And the strategies that I use to always come out on top of those processes, I teach in the bootcamp and getting teachers, and we train you guys on that. Next slide. So now it was time for me to move, and I use myself as an example so that you will understand that nobody comes fully baked. Even this profile building, I continue to do it. So therefore, you must be ready to put in the work. You must. A lot of times, the difference between our potential and the actual opportunities we get is the work we're ready to put in and how desperately we want it. When I finished my master's and I decided I wanted a PhD, I assessed. So you have to do a skills assessment. Wherever you are right now, I need you to do a skills assessment. Somebody type in the comments. I don't think I'm hitting the mark with you guys. You need to do a skills assessment. And I'm going to explain to you why it's important. You need to do a skills assessment so that you can see where you are, where you want to go, identify the gaps, and then pick the strategy to fill those gaps, because there is always a gap. So if your profile, your desire is to get a master's in public health, and let's say you did biochemistry and you've been working in a restaurant, okay? There's nothing that stops you from getting a master's in public health. The only thing you need to do is bridge that gap, right? So the first task you do is you start to look at profile of people who have masters in public health. You start to see what. Let's try and mute. Do they publications? Which organizations do they volunteer with? What have they done? And you begin to follow that path using some of the open and the free access resources that we're going to share with you guys in the document. So I did a skills assessment. And when I did my skills assessment, I saw that for a PhD, having an academic profile was relevant. I didn't really have too many publications. And one thing I didn't have was teaching experience. So what did I do? I got a part-time teaching job at an organization, right? At an organization in Lagos, Nigeria. That's where I was. That job was paying me, maybe now I can convert it to it was maybe $20 a month. Now that I convert it, or $30 it was let's say $50 a month. So I'm telling you that I didn't do it for money. I did it because that institute I was teaching was affiliated to a university in the UK. And I knew that I wanted to put that on my profile to say I was a lecturer at this particular place that is affiliated with this particular university in the UK. And this is what I did. Because when I would leave work at 5 o'clock, wherever, and then go and teach. I would teach on the weekends, right? It was not paying me. But what was I doing? I was bridging my skills gap. So what is the gap? For those, all of us here, let's start our skills assessment. What is the gap? Is it teaching experience? Is it publications? Is it volunteering? Is it fellowships? Is it knowledge? For some of you, it is knowledge. You have an interest in an area, you don't have the knowledge. What is the skills gap? What is the skills gap and how can you bridge it? For publications, you can start with softer publications. You can also start by co-authoring. If you see somebody whose article you can contribute with, reach out to them and say, can I serve as a co-author for you? Can I do the research for you? This is the article that I have. Everybody wants someone that will add value to them. For my PhD again, another thing I realized was, okay, so I needed to do this, I needed to do the teaching. I got that opportunity for the teaching. I needed to have publications. I started staying back after work, 5 o'clock till 9 o'clock, doing research and writing. because I even had to submit a writing sample that I didn't have in my area of interest. I used 3 months to write that article. So I'm trying to tell you guys, there is a work that can be done, but you have to identify where you're going and identify the gap so that you can do the work. I also found the right referee. So one of the things I did while I was doing my master's was to make sure that I had a very good relationship with a particular professor who was very respected. And then I reached out to him, and I did very well in his course, and he reached out to me to congratulate me for my performance. So I told him already that, look, I'll be reaching out to you for a reference, and he did. And trust me, that reference from that professor opened the door for my PhD. So be very strategic about this. I also started looking for fellowships and conferences, and I don't know if you were here in the last session, I taught you guys a lot about looking for opportunities, and maybe we need to do a different session only focused on how to find opportunities. Because I always tell people, I said, once that opportunity has gotten to Twitter or it has gotten to Instagram, it is too late. The opportunities you need to look for are the opportunities that nobody knows about. And I'm not hyping myself. Constantly, those are the kinds that I get. People now start reaching out to me, Miriam, how did you get this? Miriam, how did you find this? Because I'm taking the time to look for those opportunities. Let's move on. I have literally 1 minute. Next slide. So I'm not going to spend too much time, but last year, I think this is probably the biggest opportunity that I've gotten. I got a fully funded trip to Paris, and it wasn't about the trip to Paris. It was about the kind of training I got in the Women in Africa Young Leaders Program. There were over 6,000 applicants. I was successful because of these same strategies that you learn in our bootcamp, as well as profile building. Next. So I'm going to skip through a lot of the things that I've done. You know, I went to was received by several ministers in France and so on and so forth. And I keep emphasizing that I don't know anybody. I don't have connections. I'm not from a rich family. I didn't grow up rich. I didn't have any of these things. In fact, I was just thinking about it the other day, and I said, I'm really grateful that education changed my life. I grew up hopping on bikes in Ibadan from Bodija to Ojuri. I don't know how many of you know Nigeria, or Ibadan. That I grew up entering taxis, like buses. That was my regular life. You get, that was my regular life. I never grew up very sheltered or very privileged, although I did have a certain level of privilege that I do acknowledge, but it was my regular life. So there's none of you that cannot change your story, if that makes sense. There's none of you that can't change your story. Next slide. So let's keep going. So I want to stay on this slide a bit, and this is going to be my last slide before we move to the panel. So what are the challenges to profile building? Eniola says, how did you develop a great work ethic? Do you know that? That's a great question. I think a lot of us don't have the motivation. Clarice, I'm blessed, I agree, but I've also worked really hard. A lot of us don't have the motivation because we cannot see a picture of where we want to be. You haven't seen that picture. I know where I'm going. I know where I want to be. And that place requires a certain amount of work. Do you understand? And my job is to ignite a fire in you as to what you can achieve so that you will be motivated enough to put in the work. I won't lie to you guys. I'm being honest. This is not a get rich quick scheme. If you join our bootcamp, that's fantastic. If you don't, it's fine. But this is not a get rich quick scheme. This is a life-changing journey that you're about to go on. So that I have time for our panelists, I just want to quickly highlight some of these things. So some of you don't know how to build a profile because you don't have clarity or direction. You need to know the place you're going. And even if that's not your final destination, you need to have a picture in mind of what that dream is. Some of us have learned to stop dreaming. Have a dream. In the comments, tell me, what is your dream? Have a dream. Have a dream. Have a dream and work towards that dream. Some people think there are not enough opportunities. I'm going to tell you how to do that. Limited or no work or research experience. We've talked about bridging that gap. Another challenge is being a jack of all trades. Some of you want to be everything to everyone all at once. My recommendation is that even if you have a lot of dreams I think I want you to pick one to start with. okay, and work towards that one. Another thing is that some of us are so fixated on that same dream that we're not even open to opportunities that are around us. Now, what are the things that you need to do? And this addresses the last question. Need to have a mindset shift. A mindset shift. Other people, do you think they're sleeping? They're not sleeping. They're not sleeping. They're working hard to achieve their dreams. So once you realize that there's a work you need to put in, you do what it takes. I'm being very completely honest. I wake up at 4 a.m. I know I hate that I've become one of those people. I wake up very often at 4 a.m. to get ahead of certain things before my workday starts. I'm a mom, right? I have to do all of that. But because I know where I'm going, I will wake up. I will read those books. And I need you guys to get that fire as well. Okay, we've talked about the self-assessment. You need to have a vision board so that you can figure out what that dream is and have it plain. My vision board is still my screensaver here that I'm working on. Okay, then another thing I've also talked about is constantly contributing value. Never go to an opportunity empty-handed. We're going to talk more about the boot camp. So can the team please talk about the boot camp in the comments? The boot camp is a 2-month program, and our panelists will talk about it as well. It's a 3-week online course and a 2-month program. And in fact, honestly, an accountability group where we teach you step by step how to get into the program of your dreams. Okay, and that is our flagship product. It costs $100, and that is what we offer. And I guarantee you that whatever you learn from that bootcamp will follow you and change the way you view your prospects. So, if you want a comprehensive guide, like it has a lot of opportunities for journals, platforms for internships, soft skills, interview tips, and things like that. We direct you to resources. Just fill the form that my team is going to put in the comments, and we're going to send it to you. We're asking you to fill a form because we want to send it to people who are very serious, okay? So fill the form that's in the comments and we'll send it to you. So next slide, I think at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Jimmy so that she can interview Matilda and Oriofe. But before we hand it over, I want to let you know that for the boot camp, we're closing the doors on what date is it? What date are we closing the door?
For the June, the 1st of June.
So if you want to join our community, maybe you want to go to grad school, a master's or a PhD, that is what we do. You join our community and you are able to go through our online program. You see how to build your profile. We give you all of the resources. We teach you how to look for opportunities that are hidden. We teach you the scholarship stacking method. We teach you how to reach out to people for opportunities. We teach you how to target scholarships. We teach you how to be strategic in your decision making. We teach you how to get into the top schools that you may think are beyond you. That is what we do in the bootcamp. The bootcamp is $100, and it will basically cover the entire program, including the online course and the accountability group. We're matching with an accountability body, and so on and so forth. So I would want to hand it over to Matilda and Oriofe, who have gone through our bootcamp, because I want you to see how they started, just like you guys, joining a webinar or hearing about us from a friend, and the step that they took and how come they're currently at where they are right now. So we're going to try and keep the panel brief, just in case you guys have questions, but I want to tell you that you will really, really benefit from it. And also, if you join within the next 24 hours, you get the bootcamp at 85,000 naira, about $85. So just FYI, all the links are going to be in the comments. So Jimmy, over to you.
Wow. Like I said, if you don't have a notebook and a pen, I really don't know. I don't know. For those of you who have been reaching out and asking, are there free resources? If you really digested everything Miriam just talked about, you have a lot to work with. Let me tell you something. I think Miriam mentioned this in the last webinar. We had someone who joined our webinar. She didn't even pay for the bootcamp. Just by listening to the webinar, she really absorbed what Miriam said. She took all of that and put it into our application for the McCall McBain scholarship. She's the first Nigerian to win that scholarship. You can check out line. It's not hidden. Her name is Farida. She's the first Nigerian to win the scholarship. She's currently taking a master's in McGill University. studying an MSc in experiential medicine. You can do it too. It's not outside of your reach. So moving on very quickly, I'm also very excited to hear from Matilda and Urife. I'm super excited to hear from them. Before we move on, I have a question for you. Reflect just for 1 minute. What areas do you think needs improvement, to build an ideal graduate or scholarship application profile? Reflect on yourself. Think of that area. I can think of a couple of areas already, in my applications, whatever applications I'm doing now. I can already think of, okay, if I want to do this, I need to improve in this. I need to do this. I need to do this. Now, I want you guys to put it in the comment section below. Do you think it's that you need to do a lot more research, your skills? I can see someone says, okay, put it in the comment section below. Let me see what you think, or the areas you think you need to improve upon. Volunteering, I can see that, skills, publication. A few more people and we move ahead. Publication, fellowships. Okay, fantastic. So I like that essay writing. I like that you guys are reflective enough to really be able to pinpoint those areas, because let me tell you something, if you can name your problem, you have solved it by 50%, I tell you. If you can name that, okay, this is the thing I need to improve, you have solved the problem by 50%. So moving along, I'm going to give Matilda and Urife about 2 minutes each to introduce themselves to us. Tell us who you are, where you're speaking to us from currently, because we want to know what you're doing currently, and just an overview of who you are so that our audience can get to know you. Okay. Over to you, Urife. I think you should start first, as you appear on this.
Hi everybody, my name is Urife and I attended the University of Ibadan. That was where I had my LLB. That was where I got to know Miriam, and from there I went for my DL in Yenigua campus. And after that, I practiced law. Yeah, I studied law. After that, I practiced law for a few years, for about 5 years, and then I decided to proceed with my master's. And
We can't hear you very well. You're muffled. So just check that there's nothing. Yeah, I think you might need to change your AirPods. So maybe we move over to Matilda first while Urife fixes our audio, because it's almost impossible to hear you at this point. Let Matilda go and then Urife can come back.
Hi everyone, my name is Matilda. I studied law at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Ghana, KNUST. And then from there I proceeded to the Ghana School of Law, where I studied for my BL, which is to qualify to practice in Ghana. And right after that, I came over to Oxford for my master's, which I've just wrapped up, and I'm still currently streaming from Oxford, working with the university. So that's a bit about me. Over to you, Ore.
Okay. Can you hear me? Is it better now?
Yes.
It's better. Okay. So yeah, my name is Urife Salako. I attended University of Ibadan, where I studied my LLB. From there, I had my BL in Yenigua campus, and then I proceeded to the US, University of Syracuse, for my master's program. And after my master's program, I got an opportunity to work as a civil rights investigator with the state of Indiana. I did that for about a year, and then currently I work with a law firm in the United States. So that's briefly about me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, what's the background of your, I hope you can hear me very clearly. Yes, please, can you just give us a very brief background? I know one thing people want to know is the grades you finished with. So if you don't mind, I mean, you've already made a success of yourselves already. So if you don't mind, if you can just give us a little bit about your academic background, before going to Oxford and then before going to Syracuse? What was that like for you? Particularly in the areas of, okay, just give us a background and then we'll move on from there.
Okay, I had a 2-2 when I did my both LLB and BL. So I had a second class lower. So
Matilda?
So I had a first in my LLB. We don't do grades in our BL, but my grades were pretty good. So that's about my.
Okay. So now, how did Getting help you, like in putting all this together, like in making the decision to even go to graduate school? How did Getting help you in that journey? And then, first of all, perhaps why did you even join Getting in the first place?
so I always known Miriam from University of Miriam is she's inspiring, right from
Rafael, you're mute. Someone
my
muted you. Yeah.
Oh.
No. Don't worry. Sorry about that.
All right. So I've always known Miriam right from school. She was like 3 years ahead of me. Yeah, and for everyone that knows Miriam, everybody that knows her, you would know that she's very inspiring. Aside from the fact that she had very good grades that the whole school knew about, not just the faculty. She was involved in other extra. Like, really, how does she do it? You see Miriam in parties, you see Miriam having fun, then you see you come up with good grades. And like, I always have that conversation. I had the conversation severally with my friends then that really, how did Miriam do it? And at the end, she was still the president of the LSS, and with everything, it still did not affect her grades. So you would know that she was very inspiring. So when I made the decision to proceed with my LLM, I reached out to her that, okay, I am planning to do this. I want to do this. And then she spoke to me about the boot camp, and that was how I got to know about it.
Matilda?
All right. For me, I can't remember which year this was. I think 2018. I stumbled on Miriam's profile on Instagram, and that led me to Getting. And, like Ore said, you can't help but be inspired by Miriam. And I don't know, I was just so inspired. And, later on, I did an internship with Getting during the pandemic. And that sort of led me to the bootcamp. And that's about my story with Getting and finding out about Getting.
Okay. So all of this together, after going through the bootcamp, after going through all that process of learning as well as the accountability group, now let us know how you approached your application. I would allow Matilda to speak first this time. How did you approach your application for the University of Oxford and for the program of BCL? Did your mindset shift in terms of, what you could achieve, or was it straight from the bar, you knew, okay, I want to go to the University of Oxford, I want to study BCL, how did that process go for you?
Right. So in terms of how I approached my application after going through the bootcamp, I think the first thing for me was the mindset shift actually came from just knowing Miriam's profile and knowing that she had a similar background to me. Like, she'd also studied in Africa, in Nigeria. And then I'd also studied in Ghana, studied law as well, finished with the first, similar to Miriam, top of my class. So that was like that really inspired me, because I just thought to myself, oh, if Miriam in Nigeria can do it, then, I can also do that from Ghana. So that was like the major mindset shift. And then throughout the bootcamp, there's always like Miriam talks a lot about mindsets, like just really believing that you can be where you see yourself in a couple of years. And then in terms of strategies, I don't want to give too much away, but there are a lot of frameworks that the bootcamp teaches. The CARD framework, I won't go into too much detail because that's Getting's IP. So, but then a lot of frameworks that just teach you like the way to really position yourself and the way to not talk down on things that you've done in your country that you may think like may not be that big. Like there's a way to package it, as you know, Nigerians like to say. So there's a way to talk about your experiences, so that a foreign audience is able to appreciate where you're coming from, and appreciate like the magnitude of whatever you have done. So Miriam always gives the example about people saying, "Oh, I was a student leader for XYZ hall of residence," but without saying numbers to it or giving any context to the person reading. So I think those frameworks that the bootcamp teaches, I don't want to give too much away, really helped me in terms of approaching my application. And then second thing is Miriam also talked about profile building and talked about how this session is really dedicated to profile building. I think another thing that I just need to drop here is that my twin sister, I'm actually a twin. She's also an alum of the Getting Bootcamp, and she went to Berkeley fully funded as well. So basically, I'm just trying to point out that there's evidence that the bootcamp really works. But she applied sort of like before I did. And because I knew that I would have to go to law school for 2 years, so I did a lot of volunteering in that. I did a lot of coding, like people for opportunities. I did in fact get some very good opportunities with very reputable organizations to do research in that period. So that was really helpful in terms of like just giving myself the time that, okay, you know, I'm going to go to law school for this amount of time. Let me take this time to also build my profile simultaneously. So I think that's how I would say I approached my application after the bootcamp, just really learning how to talk about my experiences and also building my profile in the time that, you know, I'd given myself to, like from when I got to know about getting to like when I decided I was going to apply.
Okay, thank you so much. Or would also love to hear from you because we have a few people in the comment section that mentioned they want to go to university, that you went to the University of Syracuse. So let us know how you came to that decision and, you know,
Okay.
and the program as well.
Okay, I'll start by saying really when I wanted to start the application, I wasn't very confident. And that was because of the kind of grades that I had. I felt like, would it actually be? And which was one of the reasons why I reached out to Miriam at that time. And she encouraged me to, you know, like your grades really does not matter. It's what you really have to offer. And then I went ahead, I started working on the application. And of course, like she said, there are so many resources that you get by joining the Getting Bootcamp. I remember watching, I had like a video from it, and myself and my husband would sit down and, you know, we watch it over and over again and try to digest it. And, you know, so we could make use of it while I was working on the application. And I remember when I got the admission, I got a particular a percentage of the scholarship, and then I reached out to Miriam. Oh my God, Miriam, this is what it is. And she said, okay, you know what? Don't stop there. Start applying for research assistantship. And, you know, I started applying. I got a lot of rejections, to be honest, but I kept on applying. One thing I knew that really worked for me was that I was very, very persistent. I kept on applying and I kept on applying until I finally got a professor that was ready to work with me. And that kind of like changed everything for me. So if I did not participate in the Getting Bootcamp, to be very honest, I would have given up, because number one, I felt like I already had the fear before starting the application. So if there was nothing to push me, when I got a few rejections, I probably would have stopped that. If I'm not even that I got rejection, some people just did not respond at all. And some people, you know, had the courtesy of rejecting. So it helped me to push myself. I kept on applying until I finally got someone that was willing to work with me, and that changed everything for me. So I feel like you need to, aside the fact that you get the resources that you need, there's also the part of you pushing yourself. Don't feel like your grades is going to stop you. It really won't stop you. So yeah, so I think I got those from the Getting Bootcamp.
I'm so sorry to butt in, and Oreo, I never asked for your permission, but I really appreciate every one of you that is in this webinar, and I hope you are getting the idea that you can actually do this. I already asked for your permission, but this is November 9, 2020. So that you know that this is not, I don't know if you can see the date. This is November 9, 2020, and it says, hi, Miriam, I've registered for the boot camp. I'm almost through with it. It's really enlightening. And blah, 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 blah. We're talking. November 11, 2020, I was asking her about scholarships and her strategy. Then we didn't have a community manager. So I was doing a lot of the community management. Now we do. Then on February 19, 2021, I get an email from Ori saying she has gotten XYZ amount of scholarship from a particular university, not the one she ended up in. I said, congratulations, you did it. How much do you have to pay? She said, I still have to pay $30,000. I said, no, we need to get more money. So she kept trying and she kept trying. And this is constantly our alumni with the strategies that we teach. Even if a school gives you X amount of scholarship, there are ways to get more money from those schools, and you will learn how to do that. So I'm just going to run through and say where it gets sweet is on May 31, 2021. Orofe says, Miriam, a pleasant afternoon to you. I want to give an update on this. So I started sending the emails and applying for so and so, and I got it. A professor in my department, blah, 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 blah. Thank you for your help. I got my student visa. I'm all sorted. And just having Orofe on this webinar right now, seeing that she said, and so the question people ask me a lot is, why aren't we doing the bootcamp for free? And I always say that we cannot, because you need to say, I am making this investment. You get over 100 times what you pay, but you need to find a way to make an investment. In fact, I tell people who say, I want to register for someone, I tell them, no, let them pay or give it to them as a loan that they have to pay back. Because it's not about you paying and joining. It's about you saying, I have a commitment and I'm going to follow through. And that is Oriofe's story. Oriofe's story, I'm putting you on the spot, and I've kind of jumped a question, but I'm going to hand over to Jimmy. Can you tell me, now that you look at your life and your experience and everything, and I'm tired of telling my story, that's why I'm bringing other people to tell their stories. Can you tell me, now that you look back, the decision you made to study abroad and get a master's and all the stress involved, can you tell me whether it was worth it, not just from an academic point of view, but just from a life point of view? Can you tell me?
It was 101% worth it, to be honest. It was very stressful, no doubt. There were days where I would doubt myself and at that point I was already married. So it was not just a personal thing, it was now a family thing. And the one thing that also pushed me was, how do I do better for myself and my family? And it was, those were the things that really helped. So it was worth it 100%. When I look back, I wouldn't have taken another decision, to be honest. I wouldn't have.
Jimmy, back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Orofe. Now, before we move on, I have some questions in the chat box that I want to address very quickly. While Orofe was speaking, someone asked the question about age being a barrier. Now, you're correct. Some scholarships have age barriers, as regards, okay, when you're at this certain age, you can apply to something, but that's not the case for all scholarship programs or things like that. From the perspective of Oriofe, she's speaking about a graduate assistantship that she got, and then if a scholarship that was given to her by the university, which is not age bound. Okay, so, but these are part of the things we teach in the bootcamp, how to search for the right programs, the right universities, the right scholarships, and how to apply to these programs. So those are the things that we teach you. Okay, do you get what I'm saying? So to answer your questions in the chat box, I've just tried to answer them as much as possible. So we're going to move along. Now, my question goes to Orafe. I know you just spoke quite quickly, but I want you to be the ones, or both of you really, to be the ones to answer these questions regarding test preparation. Did you have to write any test scores? Did you have to present any test scores for your application? People are asking, someone asked, did you write an LSAT and all to get the admission that you got? And then did you have to write a GRE, GMAT, or any other test application, even the IELTS? Please speak about it and very quickly. So we'll start with Orafe.
I didn't, but I know that there are some schools that require it, but it was part of the research that I made that I was going to look for a school that I didn't have to, so I didn't.
Hello, can I come in to ask a question?
No, you can't, please. Please,
Okay.
you will give a session for questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Matilda, please go on.
All right, I was going to say same as me. I didn't have to write any tests.
Right. Okay, thank you very much. And I also wanted to clarify, did you have to submit IELTS? No, you didn't. No. Okay, thank you very much. So moving along, we have a few more questions. And now I would like you to speak about the challenges you faced, because you guys have achieved the unimaginable for some people. Some people don't even think of themselves worthy of a school, kind of schools you guys have been to, and even the kind of investment you have gotten from the universities you've gone to, right? Some people don't think it's possible for them. But please tell us, what were some of the challenges you faced in this journey? And I'll start with you, Matilda. And I'm going to speak especially in building your profile, not just challenges in terms of application, no, like in putting that application profile together, in building that stellar application that a university like Oxford looked at and said, we want this girl at our school. And we don't just want her, we're willing to invest thousands of pounds in terms of a fellowship for her to come and study at the University of Oxford. Please elaborate on that.
Okay, so in terms of challenges that I faced in building my profile, I think the major thing was, the unavailability of some of the opportunities that sort of that help you to build your profile. So, for example, the opportunity to publish when you attend some of these prestigious institutions like Oxford and Cambridge and universities generally in the Western world, you realize that the opportunity to publish typically it arises for people in their undergrad, more often than it does in a place like Ghana or in a place like Nigeria. I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but just really getting that opportunity to say do an undergraduate research assistantship, that was something that wasn't there for me, and that's something that I struggled with, and that's why I had to sort of do a lot of cold emailing to. So I mentioned that I did cold emailing. The professor I worked with was actually here in the UK, so that sort of really helped me to build my profile in terms of research. And because that's something that, looking at the profiles of people who had previously done the BCL, which is the course I did, that was something that a lot of them tend to have, a lot of research experience, a research assistantship on some huge project, maybe funded by the UK government or something of that sort. So there weren't that many opportunities directly within my immediate environment. Even though I did some research assistance for some of my professors in my university, the one that I ended up getting from my cold email had, of course, a larger impact because it was a larger project, and it was it was something that they could relate with. So again, that's something that the bootcamp teaches you about association. I won't go too much into it, but just something that the people within the jurisdiction you're applying to can relate with. If you can get any experience doing work in maybe funded by an organization that they are very familiar with, that helps your credibility. So that was the first thing, the unavailability of some of the opportunities I wanted within my immediate environment. And so therefore, there was a need for me to look externally, which eventually worked. So please don't be afraid to cold email anyone, because funny enough, I was very scared to send that cold email. But when I did send it across, this was right after the pandemic, and the professor said, perfect timing, like perfect timing. I didn't expect that sort of response because they were actually looking for somebody at the time, but it was not advertised anywhere. I just stumbled on her profile and I said, let me send her an email. You never know. Even if she gives me the minutest of tasks, I will still be able to like have the bragging rights that I worked on this project, because it was a huge project, like I mentioned earlier. And then the second thing was, of course, because I mentioned I was doing this when I was about to wrap up law school, it was a bit challenging balancing that with a very intense, academic endeavor, such as the Ghana School of Law. If you know, you know. It was very intense in balancing that. But of course, I had to, prioritize. Just like Miriam said, wake up at 4 a.m. if you need to, because it's only for a season, and it will pass. And then the last thing was, of course, just having the right like community. And I like that now this is something that the bootcamp does and encourages a lot, with having like an accountability partner to sort of like help you through the process. Like I mentioned, my sister had been on the process the year before, so she was like my accountability partner, but we're also dealing with time difference, and she also having her own schoolwork to do. So I think just think about anybody. So my father was actually somebody who reviewed a lot of my essays for me, tell me, maybe I think you should change this word here. Like, it doesn't have to be. So that's one thing that the bootcamp encourages, like a lot of independence, that Miriam doesn't have to micromanage you writing your essays, just you taking the learnings from the bootcamp and just applying them, and using people within your immediate environment, to give you feedback, tell you what parts aren't clear, and what you could say in a different way, what you could put in a better light, would always help. So I think, those were the major challenges that I faced, but thankfully I was able to succumb them. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Urafe, do you want to add to maybe some of the challenges you faced?
For me, I know that one that I really faced was the fact that I had no publications at that time. I had not worked on publications. I had no special awards, I had nothing of such to put on my profile. But one thing that I worked on was making sure that every opportunity that I had, I was doing something. I was not paid because I was not a lawyer yet at that time. So throughout my time in school, whenever there was any break, any holiday, any strike, I was in a law firm, working. I necessarily didn't have to be paid, but at least I could put that on my profile that I had worked here, I had done this, I had done that, and that really helps me. And the reason why I know that it really helps me was while I was applying for my graduate assistantship, the professor that later got back to me was like, oh yeah, I like the fact that you've worked in several law firms and you've done this, you've done this, you've done that, and it's kind of what I'm looking for. So that made me know that, okay, it paid off at the end. So yeah, so and you also get to learn that at the Getting Bootcamp, that you might it's not I don't know how to put it. It's not like a hard and fast rule that you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this to get this results. You can make use of the resources that you have to do what you can do. I know some other people at that time were looking for law firms that could pay. That, okay, I'm working as an intern, you have to pay me something. But I really was not looking for that. So I was able to put that on my profile as well. And I mean, it also helps that I was not paid because it felt like a volunteer work. So it really helps a lot.
Sorry, I was mute. So thank you guys very much for sharing that insight about your challenges, because as much as possible, I want people to have realistic expectations of this journey. A lot of times people come in with the wrong idea of what they think the bootcamp is going to look like. Like, we're going to be writing their essays for them. No, we are not. That's why I love what Miriam emphasized when she spoke. She mentioned something, making that investment. You come with a different kind of vibe when the money came out of your pocket, especially now that the bootcamp fee is 100,000 naira. 100,000 naira. That's a lot of money for an average Nigerian right now. So it's that investment that partially propels you to work. But the major part of things is the determination you come with. Now, I know that some people have been asking questions in the chat box about the bootcamp, what would they get, and all of those things. So one thing I'm going to do for you is I'm going to run through the calendar after we're done with the interview section. So please don't go anywhere, stay behind. I'm going to run through what you can expect from the calendar of what the bootcamp is going to look like this year. Everything from the week 1 straight on to the very last week of the bootcamp. So stay around for that. Now, we'll move on to the next question very quickly. We're almost done with the question section, and then I'll give an opportunity to a few people in our audience to ask you questions directly. I think Miriam already asked the major benefits that you got as a result of the bootcamp, but I want to ask you, what's one advice you can give to everyone here today? We have over 400 people listening to you right now. What's one advice you can give to people who aspire, the kind of feathers in your heart that you have gotten right now, kind of accolades you have, where you are right now? Those people who, really, really want to advance themselves and take themselves forward professionally, academically, and put themselves in the right positions. What's one advice you can give them? We'll start with you, Orofe.
Okay, I might have more than one, but one that really works for me is be very persistent. Don't take no for an answer. Because one person has said no to you does not mean that someone else would. So be persistent, keep applying, keep looking for opportunities. You will finally find one. And also ask the right questions from the right people. Look for people that have gone through what you want to go through and ask them the right questions. It's going to help you. For me, asking Miriam questions helped my application process. Getting resources from the Getting Bootcamp, to be very honest, helped me. So, and also do your research to try to speak to the right people. Even before going to the school, you can do your research and speak to people within the school. When I got admitted, I made a few friends, and I learned from someone that he actually got a scholarship. He got a scholarship opportunity from a staff of the school. The person that everybody was emailing, but because he went further in his conversation with this person, so the person gave him a link and got that scholarship. So it's about speaking to the right people. Like they always say, a closed mouth is a closed destiny. Ask questions, ask the right people questions so you can get the answers that you want.
Thank you very much. Matilda?
Right. I think very similar to what Ore has already said. I would say do your research. It's very important. And I think I like that Miriam doesn't sugarcoat at all. It's a job on its own. It's a lot of hard work. But thankfully, there are a lot of resources now that help us to research people who have done, what we want to do. So for example, using LinkedIn to look at the profiles of people who have done your course. Some universities actually do profile books. So for my course, for example, there's a profile book. So you can look through to see what has everyone in, say, the previous year done and what do I need to do to get myself on track. So I think doing the research is very important, and also being persistent is also very important. I think I don't have anything to add, and it's a challenging journey, but it's always worth it in the end. If you think about the amount that they're investing in you, sort of giving you money to come study, for free, essentially. I think it's the hard work, it always ends up being worth it. So that's just what I'll say.
Okay, thank you guys so much. And I want both of you to still stick around because you're going to be answering questions very soon. But I want to do two things before we move along. First, for those of you present right now, a member of my team or members of my team will be dropping a link in the chat box right about now. I want you guys to fill it. And if you fill the link, we are going to send you pretty much an opportunity database, compiled, opportunities that you can actually explore. You're going to get 100 graduate and master's scholarship opportunities, the list of that. And then you're also going to get links where you can access, fellowships, internships, and all of those things. We're also going to share them with you via the email. So please, the link has gone out right now. It was dropped by Adeshewa Obisaya in the chat box. So click on it, and you would be able to access it. Please, 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 and please click on this link and then register, fill in the information, and we'll send you the resources right about now. Please do so. All right. Thank you guys very much. So before we move on to answering questions, I want to very quickly share an overview, because I don't want people to ask these same questions again by the time we go to any questions for our guests. So before we move on to that, I want to quickly share an overview or an oversight of what you can expect from the bootcamp. So I'm going to share that on my screen right now. I'm going to go through it very quickly before we move along. So from week 1 to week 3, you're going to access the online bootcamp course. And that will span from January 1st to the 30th of June. From June 1st to the 30th of June. You're going to access the online course. And while you're doing this, something I've noticed that people don't do while they're doing this is taking notes of things, because once it is the 30th of June, we're going to disconnect you from being able to access the link, because it's meant to be, as much as it's self-paced, it's also a limited time frame kind of course. Another thing you're going to access from week 4 now through week 11, you're going to access the accountability group, although it was numbered from week 1 to week 8. So your accountability group is going to span for 2 months. And during this time, we're going to go through different curriculums and different programs. For week 1, here we are going to activate the accountability group. You're going to be paired with someone that has a similar interest with yours, not just a complete stranger that you don't even understand what they want to study. No, so if you're a lawyer, you can expect to be paired with a lawyer. If you are interested in an MBA, you can expect to be paired with someone in the business area or things like that. So you can expect that kind of pairing. Another thing we are going to do is we're going to address rejections for those that might have applied before and were rejected for whatever reason. We're going to address those rejections. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about things you can do better. We're also going to talk about choosing the right schools. A lot of times people don't choose the right schools. They don't choose the right programs that have what they are looking for. So that's something we're going to teach you. Week 2, you're going to prepare your vision board. If you don't have a vision, there's no direction, there's no clarity. That's what it means. You have to have a vision of what you want to do, how you want to go about what you want to do. So that's something we're going to teach you. And in your vision board, you're going to capture 5 universities, 5 programs, requirements, scholarships, opportunities. And we're going to debunk application requirements. So look, I'm the one that will handle it. Hey, it's a serious thing. Okay, I would demand it of you, because I don't want anybody blowing my phone up. I will not answer. I would demand it of you to do the work. Because trust me, I've been getting testimonials for the last few months. Oh, Jimmy, I got this. Oh, Jimmy, I've done my visa. Oh, Jimmy, I want that news from you guys. So if I'm asking you to do something, I'm not doing it to stress you out. I'm doing it because at the end of that journey, at the end of that difficult journey, you're going to laugh. You're going to be bawling. The next thing, we'll be doing video call while you're abroad. And those are the kind of things I like to see. Okay. So your 3rd week of the accountability group, we're going to do everything CV. Now, please, nobody should DM me to review or correct their CVs. That will not happen. You have learned everything on the bootcamp, okay? What I'm going to do is guide you to make sure you are bringing out the right things in your CV. I organized documents, I shelved documents, I printed documents. That's not what we want to see in your CV. We want to talk about the practical things you did, how to contextualize in your CV. Those are part of the things we're going to do. You're also going to get a lot of peer reviews during your CV, and randomly, I could pick 1 or 2 people to review their CVs. Not because I know them, they're just locked, okay? So, and the next week, we're going to talk about building your graduate school application materials. Now, a lot of people overlook the importance of having the right supervisor. I don't care what you're going for, whether you're going for your PhD, you're going for your master's, research master's, whatever it is you might be going for. We're going to talk about how to pick the right supervisors, how to code email, how to use the LinkedIn app. Miriam talked about it in the last webinar. If you were here, you must have learned it from her. And by now, if you attended the last webinar, you're here again, I expect that you have started doing some underground work, networking with the right people. Do you get what I'm saying? It's for your own benefit, all right? So we're going to talk about that, how to draft your writing sample. For those of you who are interested in PhDs that you have reached out to me via Telegram, yes, there's an opportunity for you to learn how to draft your writing samples. It's not just an essay you sit down and write in 2 hours. It takes time. Miriam said she wrote us in 3 months. That's to tell you, it's not a joke. 3 months, okay? The next thing we're also going to do is drafting your essay, your personal statement, and then your research statement. You're going to get a lot of hands on deck in helping you navigate how to structure these things. Now, you're also going to get a host of people that will review these essays for you. So please take good advantage of these people that will be helping you. For me, personally, I have a policy where if I'm reviewing your essays, I want it to be that you have put a lot of thought into it, so much so that I have things to work with when I'm reviewing your essays. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's something we're going to focus on week 4. Now, week 5, we'll continue with reviewing your graduate school application material. Week 5 and week 6, that's what we're going to focus on. In fact, from week 4 to week 6, all we are doing is building and reviewing your graduate school application materials, because those are really the bedrock of your application. They are the ones that can make or mar your application. So they are very important. And we're going to spend some time really going through those processes. Now, week 7, we're going to talk about references. However, in week where we talk about finding the right programs and all of those things. So in week 2, we'll have talked about it briefly. And during that time, I expect that maybe you have a professor or 2 professors that you've not spoken to since you graduated 6 years ago or 5 years ago in university, and now you need them and you want to send them last minute message, sir, I want you, they will not answer you. You're in Nigeria, they will not answer you, okay? So one of the things you would have done earlier on in this process is establish contacts again with people, reestablish that rapport with your professors. So by the time we come back to it in week 7, you'll have established such a great rapport that if you reach out to them and say, oh, sir, please, I would like you to please write a reference letter for me. They're like, oh, okay, no problem. I'm willing to do that for you. Now, there's something I'm working on right now. And I love what Miriam mentioned, and even Orofe, interning for free. I'm just going to tell you a brief story. Usually, I get paid for research that I do, but there's this person that I really want to do something for me in a couple of months down the line. I reached out to him. He knows how much I get paid ideally, but I reached out to him and told him, sir, I'm willing to work with you for free, but I've not even told him what I want in return. But I've been impressing the man so much that I know that by the time I make my request, he would have no choice but to say yes. Do you get what I'm saying? And then the final week, we're going to do housekeeping. Here's where some of you are already applying to schools, already paying for your fees and doing all of those things. So this is just a brief overview of what you can expect in the upcoming bootcamp that we're going to have. So I've answered your questions about bootcamp. So please, if you know that your questions are regarding the bootcamp, as much as possible, please don't ask them again. We've already answered exactly what you're going to see in the bootcamp is what I've told you already. So now we're going to open the floor for people to ask questions. I can see some people's hands up already. So I'm going to call your name. We'll start with Ademola Oduola. Your hand has been up for a while, so we're going to start with you. So unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Sorry,
Yeah,
can
good
we
afternoon.
questions?
Okay, Miriam wants to say something.
Okay, just before we start, can we make the questions just so that a lot of people can get the chance to ask? Can we make it as brief as possible? And if you can ask a question in a way that is not only for you, so that people can answer. So don't say, oh, I have a degree in nutrition, I want to go to this particular school. Ask a macro question like, okay, I'm trying to do this. How, I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it's so that other people too can benefit from the question that you've asked. So let's keep our questions to 30 seconds. And let's also make sure that they're questions that we know that other people can benefit from.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. My undergraduate degree was 3 years because I joined as a direct entry student. I already completed 2 years foundation science program somewhere. So, and I've heard a lot of people saying that in the United States, they are so bent when it comes to 4 years undergraduate degree. So I really want to know, I really want you to throw some light into this. Thank you.
I can take that, and if anybody else wants to add, but the way Ore is frowning as well, that's the same answer that I have. I was also a direct entry student. I didn't do 100 level in my uni. I had 4 years on my transcript. It has never been a thing. So I don't know who told you that information. So far, you've made the degree requirements. Your transcript shows what you did. You see what we're talking about limiting beliefs. I've never heard it before. And I've done this business for a long time. It's never been a thing. So far you graduated, you fulfilled your degree requirements. Don't worry about it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, David, you can go on. Is David here? Okay, Aisha Mai, you can speak, please.
Okay. Thank you, Miriam, and thank you, Jimmy, and Matilda, and all of you. Thank you so much. So my question is, applying for graduate school is expensive, like in terms of application fees. I know you can get waivers, but I just wanted them to like speak on that. That's it.
Okay, so Orafa, will you? Okay,
anyone could.
Miriam.
No, anyone can take this one if you want to speak to it.
Well, yeah, it's also part of the investments that you're going to make on yourself. Although for me, there are some schools that have waivers, like you said, and you can also go ahead and apply for those waivers. For me, I did not pay an application fee because there were waivers. So, I mean, it's also part of the research that you need to make. So before you, I would think personally that before you apply to a school, it's always good that you make research and, you know, try to cut your cost as much as you can. Some schools, yeah, there are application fees. That's why you need to get your profile and your application really tight. So you're not just throwing money away, you get. So yeah, it's also part of the investments that you're going to make.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Aisha? Please mute yourself.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Best man.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this program. So I'll just quickly jump into the question. Please, this is for Oriofe. She said she actually did internships and she said it was for free. So I just wanted to like I didn't hear how many she said she did. So I know she talked about profile and then, I just want to know like how many internship it was. Thank you.
Sorry, so right from my 100 level, I've always been doing internship. I think I worked with about 4 or 5 law firms before I finished my school, like before I finished LLB. So I don't think there is a particular number of internships you need to have done. And at the end of the day, it depends on how you can defend it. So it's not about the number of internships you are able to do. I hope that answers your question. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. Thank you.
Okay, we'll have Blessing next and then BGT.
Yeah. Hello. Good afternoon. Thank you for the session so far. But well, I think I've been here before, but I wasn't very serious. But I want to ask, I think for someone like me, I'm not very confident about the whole process, right? Plus, I don't know how I can be helped. I'm a science student, and I think I made like about 90% of some of the things that Miriam had mentioned. But for some reason, I still feel like I need like maybe like help with bespoke strategies with regards to my own profile. So I don't know if there's something I can get around that. I have a couple of interests that are somewhat distinct, but find a way to meet at some point. So I don't know how I can make a very good strategy around my profile to see how I can put myself in a very good position. And some things I'm not confident about how I can address them. I don't know how this this webinar, or sorry, not the webinar, the program can actually help me put that in a very good light. Thank you.
Okay, so if I get you correctly, you mentioned that you already have a very strong background, if that's what you said, but you don't know how you can put them together to access all these opportunities. But first of all, before I can even say anything, I have to know the profile you have, and it's a whole process. So I encourage you to consider joining the bootcamp. If you were here just about 10, 15 minutes ago, I ran through all the things we're going to be taught at the bootcamp. And one of the key things you're going to get out of the bootcamp is clarity. So, and which is something you clearly don't really have right now. So that's really the starting points for us with you, is to help you gain clarity at the bootcamp. So I encourage you to consider joining the bootcamp, and I can talk better with you based on that.
Yeah, Jimmy, can I just add to that?
Yes, please.
Because a couple of people have dropped off because we're quite, into time. But for those of us who are here, it means that we're really serious, and this is where I love this is where I love to be. I think that has it ever happened to you that you see someone that you, in quote, know that you are better than, in quotes. I'm not saying we should be thinking ourselves as better than someone, or somebody that you see the profile and you're like, oh, I can also do that. I also have that. But the kind of opportunities they have, it's a world ahead of what you have. Have you met those people before? You're just like, how is this person doing this? Like, there's nothing different. What's so special? I'm saying this in response to the last person. It is that they're doing certain things that you're not doing. They've thought through their experiences. They've analyzed where they want to go. They're making certain strategic moves. They're taking certain risks, and they fixed their mindset, right? And they have broadened their goals and their dreams. So even if you have 10 doctorates, if there is no clarity as to why you have it, what you are trying to achieve, right? Things will not align to you. The opportunity will come to you. So a part of what we're doing in the bootcamp is, let's even figure out, what is this big dream? What is this big goal? Where do you want to go? And again, you don't have to be tied to your goal. Your goal will change as life is evolving, but you need to at least have a destination. And it's that destination that gives you a measure of clarity that helps you put together, right, those experiences in a way that make you a favorable candidate. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Miriam. We'll move to BGT and then we'll have Diamond next.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So first of all, my question is, I want to know, like, if someone has second class upper, is it like a problem to find graduate assistantships? Like, is it a problem? Then second of all, I want to like know the price, like since you said for the next 24 hours, like we have to, the price is $85. I would like to know the price in Naira. And also again, are you guys reachable on Instagram? Like if we pay the money, can we just send it on Instagram or something? Thank you.
Okay, so I would answer your questions one after the other. First question about having a second class upper and being able to access opportunities. The simple answer is it's not going to be a problem. In fact, it will be more of an advantage depending on how you build your overall profile, right? And then your second question about the bootcamp. Yes, it is 85,000 Naira. It's $5, but we are charging 85,000 in Naira if you were to pay. And then you don't even have to reach out to us via Instagram. But if you reach out to us, someone will respond to you. But you will get an automated email once you've paid that, you know, confirms your payment. So you don't have to worry in that regard.
Okay, thank you. But must it be our accounts, or we can use someone else's accounts to pay?
So far you have used your email and your name. I think that works. Because at the end of the day, to be tied to your name and your email. So just make sure it's your name that is registered on the document as well as your email address.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
So thank you very much. Diamond and then Emmanuel.
Okay, good evening. Thank you so much.
You're far from your phone. I can barely hear you.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? Is it better now?
Not really, but go ahead with your question.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. So my question is, you said that the payment for the boot is going to end on the 1st of June, and you guys made a point to note that the financial commitment is to make sure that you are actually committed to this program, which I completely understand. So is this boot camp a yearly thing? When is the next cohort for the boot camp?
Okay, so typically we have the bootcamp twice a year. So we'll have one starting in June, and then we'll have another one starting in August. So we'll typically have it twice a year. And it's really up to you. However, if your intention is to go to graduate school next year, you're advised to apply for, please, if you're not speaking, please mute yourself.
Sorry,
You're
please,
advised
I have a
to,
question.
please hold on, please. So if you're not, what was I saying now? If your intention is to go to graduate school next year, you're advised to put out or start the process of the bootcamp this June so that you can meet up for the application of the next year's cycle, you know, so that you're right on time by the time applications open and scholarships open and you're ahead of it. So that's the main thing, but it's really up to you at the end of the day. Emmanuel, you can go on and then we'll have Sawyer. Sawyer Victoria.
If you're interested in joining, I would recommend the first cohort, one, because you have a longer lead time to plan. And the second is that once we hit the number, because we have a limited number of people we can support every year, once we hit that number, we can take more students. So it's really up to you.
Okay, can I speak?
Yes, you can, Emmanuel.
Okay, thank you, moderators. Now, my own question is that I'm interested in PhD study, but I've always been an average student. In my first degree, I had a lower second class. In my second degree, that's a master's, I had a pass. So What are my chances?
Can I take
I
that
would
one?
allow Miriam. Yes, I was just about to say I would allow Miriam to speak on this one.
So I think for the undergrad degree is not a problem. I do think I'm worried about the masters a little bit, quite frankly. I'm not, again, this is not like this. If you go here, leave here with some value, that's enough for me. Can you tell me if this master's was research or course-based?
It was course-based. It was a Toastmasters degree.
Where was it?
Coventry University.
Interesting. So I think in as much as that's not an ideal situation because it's an advanced degree where they expect that you're a little bit more, I guess, directed. I don't think it means there's no hope for a PhD. For a PhD, selection of candidates is very, very tied to the person who's going to supervise you. And if you can convince that person beyond your grades, right? Here is my research output. Here is what I'm going to contribute. Or here is the personal circumstances I had during the master's that affected my grades. It's completely possible. But I would say that be sure you want to do a PhD. As somebody who has just come out on the other side, it takes a lot. So if you struggled with a master's that you weren't motivated enough to have a higher grade, but whatever your grade is in an undergrad program, and I'm being very direct, I expect you to have a better grade during your master's, or at least the same, right? So if you can't get to the root of that issue as to why you weren't, and I'm not saying you didn't apply yourself, but as to why the grade was that, I would say that's something you need to address first before even thinking about the PhD, and to be sure that you've counted the cost, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done to build up your profile before you. Okay.
I'm sorry. Ma'am,
Can I speak, please?
the bootcamp is
Okay, so thank you very much, Emmanuel. Please, can you mute
Can I speak,
yourself
please?
if you're not speaking? No, please. Please mute yourselves. Okay, Soya, you're going to go next. And then Antoinette.
Question, please.
Soya
Can I
and then
speak?
Antoinette, please.
Good afternoon. So I'd like to ask that is the program only for graduate programs? Because since I've joined, we have only been talking about the masters and PhD. So I'd like to ask for people that would like to study like medicine and surgery for undergraduate program, is there like a chance?
Okay, so this program is specifically directed towards those who want to study their master's and PhD. However, for those that are interested in undergraduate degrees, we have a free undergrad course that can be shared with you that you can take, and that would help you. So if you can send a message in the chat box, one of our team members will drop the link for you so you can register and just take the course. I think that's the ideal starting point for you. It's completely free. You're not paying anything for it. So it guides you in your undergraduate journey. So I think that would be a lot more ideal for you. So just leave a comment in the chat box and someone just say undergraduate course, please. And then someone will respond and give you the link to it. Uriel, if you're here, please respond to her. Thank you. Okay, so Antoinette, you can go next.
Okay,
and then
thank you very
Soma.
much. Okay, thank you very much.
Can I
My
speak,
name is
please?
Antoinette, and my question is directed to the fact that I'm a current final year PharmD student. I'm in my 6th year, and I would love to join the boot camp. But looking at how intensive it is going to be and also preparing for my final year exam at the same time, I was wondering if it will be a good idea to juggle both at the same time or probably wait and come next year. But thinking of what Mrs. Mariam said earlier about the fact that if you'd want to join the next, pool of students to be easier to start now, I'm trying to weigh the options because the final year exam is also equally important to be fully focused on while this is also going to be intensive and will be requiring my attention. So I need some sort of direction on this. Thank you.
I take this one. When do you want to go next year?
Can I
Yes,
speak,
hopefully next year, God willing.
Next year, you're applying this year.
Yes.
So you have to plan for this year. If you join next year, then you want to go in 2026, right? Because we don't
Okay.
this is not you're here to go to school next year. You're not, if you're looking for a scholarship for September 2024, this is not the forum. We are people who plan ahead, and that is what that is one of the secrets that help our people get ahead, because there is over a year
Okay.
planning before you actually go.
Okay.
Some of you haven't yet in your final year. It's helpful for you to take this so that you can.
Okay,
Hello?
thank you very much, Miriam.
Thank you.
Are you?
I lost
Okay.
her at some parts. I actually couldn't hear what she was saying at some point.
Oh, I said that if
Yeah.
you go to school next year, you need to apply
Yes.
this year, which means you need to join
Okay.
this year.
Okay.
That means you want to go in 2026. So I know it's
Okay.
a bit of a juggle, but it's just for a few months. And if you carve out an hour every day to follow the boot camp, I think you'll be fine.
Sorry, I can't hear you clearly. It's breaking.
Thank you very much.
I don't think that's from my end. Can the
Okay,
rest?
thank you very much, Antoinette. I can hear you
Hello.
clearly, Miriam. So I think it's from the person's end, the person who said you were breaking. I think it's from their end. So we'll move on to Soma, and then Adebimpe, and then Elizabeth. So Soma, you can unmute and speak.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you to everyone that's spoken. It's been very insightful so far. So my question is with respect to choosing the right school. And as much as a lot of people aspire for the Oxfords and the Cambridges, some of us just want like a good school that's good enough with good student life, academic background, everything. So what would you say is the best strategy, especially in a place like the US where there's like a plethora of options and it's easy to get overwhelmed and confused as to what to look out for?
Okay, thank you very much. So while we discuss this in-depthly during the bootcamp, I'm just going to give you an overview. The most important thing you can do is starting with your goal. What do you want out of the program? I think that's the best starting point. It helps you pick the right school, because by the time you look at your goals and what you want out of whichever program you go to, you quickly find out that maybe Harvard is not necessary. Maybe the University of Michigan is the better place for me to go to, because I have the right lecturers there. I have the right program that is tailored. Or maybe, what you want to do, or you want an MBA. Maybe Harvard Business School might not be the ideal school for you. Maybe Penn State University's MBA might be the best for you because they have a specialization that ties to what you are interested in. So that's the starting point, figuring out what you want. What do you want? I think I would allow Matilda speak a little bit about this if she has something to say before we move on.
Sorry.
You need to mute.
Yeah, sorry, I 100% agree with you. And I think that's one thing that the bootcamp is very good for, because before you even start the actual course, you do a whole diagnostic test. I won't give too much away, but then that helps you to, align your goals with like the schools that you decide to apply. So it helps you figure out what you want out of graduate school, why you even want to go to graduate school. And Miriam also talks a lot about just spreading your options. If maybe you want to do top tier, maybe mid tier, low tier, just to spreading your options, like doing your application in a sort of a three-tiered approach, so that you know that you're casting your net as wide as possible. So I 100% agree.
Okay, thank you very much, Matilda. Soma, I think that answers your question. Now we're going to move to our Debimpe, and then after Debimpe, we'll have Elizabeth and then Victory.
Hi everyone. So my question is directed at Oriofe. Please, I would like to know what are the steps you took to get the graduate assistantship? Then did it help with your remaining part of the tuition? I mean the graduate assistantship. Thank you.
Yes, was applications to professors in the law department since that was the course I wanted to study. Applications and
and gave
only
some access. Yeah.
the noise is kind of distracting, so I was hoping the person will mute
Please, if
himself.
you're not speaking, mute yourselves, please. Okay, Oriofe, I think you can continue.
So like I said earlier, I sent out a lot of applications. I got a few rejections, got a few people who didn't respond back. So it was
Nigeria's forward. Are they not supposed to agree?
Persistency. So you just need to keep sending out the applications. I mean, you might be lucky, it might be the first professor you send to that might respond to you. I mean, my own story is just that I sent out a few. I sent out a few applications. I find out one. And yes, at the end of the day, when you look at the course, it helps. And it depends on planning. There are just a whole lot of, it's just a conversation you need to have with your professor. That, yeah, this is what it is, and this is what I want to achieve at the end of the day. So yeah, it helped.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we'll move on to Josephine.
Sorry, you called Elizabeth earlier on that I should get ready. I thought it will be my turn.
Sorry, I think we might have lost Jimmy for a bit. So who was next? You can go next. We have to wrap up in the next 5 minutes because we've kept our panelists for so long. So if you have any first questions, I'm sorry we can't take all the questions. Like I wish we could, but can you believe we've been here for 2 hours? So if you have any questions, why don't you quickly put it in the comments and we can quickly allocate to Matilda and Oriofe quickly, and we can wrap up in the next 5 minutes. So I don't think we can take any more voice comments, or we still have a couple of hands up, and I'm really sorry about that. But can we quickly type your questions in the comments? We need to let you go. I hope you guys join us. I hope you tell other people about us. I hope you've learned something from this webinar. And if you haven't learned anything at all, I hope the one thing you've taken from their journeys is that whatever you set your heart to desire, you can achieve it. You can achieve it if you dare yourself to dream. And that is my principal message to everyone in the world. Dare yourself to dream. Don't stay confined in that box that your imagination has put you in. Don't stay confined in the box that your circumstances of birth have kept you in. Don't stay there. You can be born there. You don't have to stay there. Okay? It's your decision to get out of that place. Don't confine yourself to that little pond where you started life. Okay? It's not a crime to be born in a little pond. It's a crime not to want to move to a bigger pond and to put the work in that requires you to get into that bigger pond. For me, quite frankly, and one of the reasons why I do this is because, my friends, there's a generation that is waiting for you. There's a generation that is waiting for you. And that's one of the things. Somebody asked me why I'm motivated. I think about it that if I did not stand up and pursue my dreams, if I didn't stand up and put in the work, would Oriofe be where she is? Would I have been able to support her journey? Like, would her journey have been different, right? She will still be successful. But would this have been her journey? Will Matilda have, pursued this path if I didn't wake up and a lot of the work you guys are saying, and I think we should stop the recording now because it's time to share the tea because we're going to end shortly. Matilda and Orafe, maybe you can respond in the chat as well so that we can just wrap up. Like if any questions you see that are for you, just, respond so that we can wrap up. So so now that the recording has stopped, we're not streaming anywhere, we can spill the